I'm Glenn McGuinness, and this is Outburst. On the program, how concerned are you about monkeypox cases in Canada?
So no, it's not something I'm worried about.
I'm definitely wanting to know more information.
I don't know if it's just another thing that we want to be scared of.
I'm concerned about the whole situation.
But first, like most Canadians, odds are you pay your fair share of taxes. Government spending, especially since the pandemic began, has been on most everyone's radar, especially the benefits paid out to small businesses and people to keep things going during the lockdowns. So now that things are moving along almost as they were pre-COVID, there may be some other areas where people think that money should go. So we took to the streets to ask Canadians where they feel their tax dollars should be invested. Our question:
how would you like to see your tax dollars spent?
Here in downtown Kelowna, we, like a lot of communities in Canada, we have a homeless problem. A lot of it's related to affordability and housing. And I don't think we are addressing it. I would, for one, would be grateful to see more tax dollars spent dealing with some of the root causes of some of the people on the streets here, be it addictions or mental health. Right now, it's kind of a catch and release. When somebody's down on the sidewalk and it's to the hospital for a few hours, then out the door you go again. So I would like to see more effective use of tax dollars in dealing with some of our homeless issues.
We have to look after our senior citizens. I think what happened in senior housing and during the pandemic is a glaring, it shone a light on what's happening in those areas, and that for-profit isn't working. And I think that we need to be involved as a society in looking after those people and ensuring that the end of life and that our senior years are as productive and as happy as can be.
Well, obviously more on climate mitigation. We have to go towards a just transition. We have to go to renewables as quickly as we can. We're in serious trouble in our world. And so yeah, we have to, if we get better governments that have a better voting system, then we work together, and then we work on all the issues. And taxation is a major one.
Well, recently they're building a museum in Victoria. They're putting over $1 million or $1 billion in, and I think that is absolutely useless. The homeless crisis is something that has been bothering everyone, especially since COVID, and the fact that they're just gonna ignore that and put money into a museum when we're having like infrastructure crisis, so much traffic, we're having refugees come in for housing and people who live there can't even afford housing, and they're gonna put that money towards a museum. So I just don't know who they're listening to, if anyone at all. So I'd rather just be, just get the temperature of the room, maybe, of the community you're in. I don't know where they're getting that from, but they're not listening.
I would like them to go towards healthcare, better funding our public healthcare, reversing the course towards privatization in a lot of sectors, and just kind of building back up the healthcare sector that's been pretty devastated by the pandemic. And also public transit with a particular focus on climate change, reducing emissions, pushing public transit and other forms of less carbon-intensive ways of getting around.
Affordable housing. I'm being rent-evicted right now. I am 100% being rent-evicted, and I want to see more affordable housing because I have a disabled wife, I have a 10-year-old son, and I'm looking around to try and find something that I can afford. I have a good job. I can't afford anything. So I want to see affordable housing, and like both federal, provincial, municipal, it hasn't been happening.
Probably healthcare.
Why?
Because I'm getting up in age. I just want to make sure that, when I need it, it's going to be there.
Like on our communities, climate action, greening our environment, planning for tomorrow, health, education, supporting our overseas infrastructure through global affairs.
Because situation in Ukraine, you can't take the defense for granted anymore, like everybody was doing. And health, well, the population is aging, and so do the expenses. And well, environment, yeah, it's getting warmer. So we have to think about climate change, how to slow down climate change.
I would like to honestly see it help people who are homeless. I think that that's a problem that we have that doesn't need to be a problem. A lot of people are, you know, a couple bad months away from being homeless.
Maybe with a little more thought behind it. Keep some of it in Canada. It's nice to help other countries, but we have a lot of people here that need help.
Well, again, environment. We need to really seriously consider where we're going with, you know, more flooding every year, more violent weather everywhere across the world, around the world, every year. That has got to come from somewhere. And I think curtailing, traveling because of the carbon, whatever word I'm trying to say here, the carbon copy. No, that's not it. Emissions and all that kind of stuff have a big effect on what's going on in the world. And so what are the alternatives? That has to be looked at.
After 70 years on the British throne, Queen Elizabeth has marked her Platinum Jubilee. It's an amazing achievement unmatched by any of her predecessors. Queen Victoria came the closest at 64 years. While many Canadians feel the monarchy is a welcomed addition to our national identity, many people feel the royal family is outdated and Canada could do just fine without it. So regardless of what side you pick, how do you feel about Her Majesty's record-breaking milestone? Our question.
What are your thoughts on the Queen's Platinum Jubilee?
You know what, I do follow the Royals, and I've always sort of been invested in that, but I think as Canadians now, I'm not feeling quite as invested because I'm not really sure what the monarchy is really doing to influence Canadians. So, I don't know, I feel like over time it's fading.
You know, I think it's just incredible, just as like a public figure, just as far as just like public perception and everything, like, you know, whether outside forces in the world really know the role of the royal family, especially with us in Canada, it's just such an amazing thing. You just take a step back and you look, and it's 70 years, and I think a day will come where she won't be around, and I think there will be a void left that we won't be able to fill. So I think that's just wonderful. I think it's wonderful news.
Oh, that's pretty amazing, actually. She's still going. She's still going physically, more or less now, I guess. But yeah, it's again, it's part of history, so that's our historical background, and it's still going on. So
no, it doesn't really change my day-to-day, but pretty unique, I think. I was in a pram at her coronation, apparently. I was like 3 or 4 weeks old, and my parents put me outside in the pram. She's been my queen, our queen, the queen, all my life. It's pretty amazing, and to see her the other night at the Jubilee celebration was phenomenal. I kind of worried that's another potential ripple across the world when she passes, but right now I'm just glad that she seems to be coping well with everything, and hopefully these events over the next couple of weeks, she's able to enjoy them and get some reward from all the work she's done over the last 70 years.
It's definitely something to celebrate, right? It's a big occasion, momentous occasion, but at the same time, as I said, there's so much happening around the world, the war, all of these. So that kind of brings in at least some news for people to share about, right? And that's like I believe like the silver lining in the crowd. We just need to probably work towards much more news towards like that, right? Just to make sure people are feeling elated this year and everyone's happy.
My parents are British, so I grew up with the royal family, and I am quite impressed with the length and what she's seen in the world and the changes she's been able to go through, but I'm sure my husband would have something else to say about this.
I think it's very nice that we have this relationship with the monarchy, but I think moving forward, I'm excited for Canada's independence from this.
I think it's great, but I don't know if we need them much in here myself. But as far as the Queen, I mean, she's been good, and it's good to see that. But that whole thing, I'm not sure if we need it.
Well, I was born in England, so my family is they kind of follow it, but not really. I don't really know what I think about it. I think she's obviously been reigning for, like you said, 70 years. It's a really long time. She knows what she's doing, I guess, or she's got good experience doing it. But yeah, it's probably time for her to step down, in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe get a fresh lens. But I don't know if she would have any other influence on it if she stepped down. But
I mean, she's a cool figurehead and all. I don't know how much effect she would have in Canada. I know the Prince came to Vanier where I live, but that's it. You know, it's kind of meh for me. You know, doesn't really affect my day-to-day life.
Good for her. One of the longest-serving heads of state in history, really. So. Yeah, not much to say about my boss's boss, but yeah.
She represents an institution that does not belong, I'd say, in our modern world. I think we should obviously get rid of them. Even if it's a purely symbolic gesture, I think it seems a bit silly to me in this day and age that we have a queen.
I guess as a milestone to mark that would be something appropriate, as long as we're not under the delusion that it's been all, roses and rainbows.
I have very conflicted feelings on this because for the longest time I was a big supporter of the monarchy, and I liked the relationship that Canada had to England and the old British Empire and Commonwealth. But more recently, I don't really see England doing anything for us. We don't really get preferential treatment. We don't really get preferential access to things. And I don't really know why we're keeping this as like a more cherished relationship if we're not going to get something out of it. Like, it's kind of their heritage more than ours. And maybe it's time that we cut past and do our own way forward.
Well, I think she deserves a ton of praise for what she's done. She's very true to her role.
I don't follow much of the Queen, but good for her. I mean, if you can do that for 70 years without any opposition, props, right?
Her work ethic is what I respect. Like, she'd taken her job very seriously right to the end. So you have to give her credit for that, and it's worth a celebration. I mean, she's worked hard. She's held her head high. She's a classy woman. I don't know about the bureaucracy and the corporation behind her, but yes, I think she should be. You know what? At this point, what's the point of saying we're not going to support her anymore? She's at the end of her life. She seems like a good person. Have I liked the fact that all this money has gone to that family to support a hierarchy and, superiority of classes? Absolutely not. But what are we going to do at this point?
How many official visits has Queen Elizabeth II made to Canada? 22, 33, or 44?
I think it's 33. I know she's been here an awful lot over her reign, so 22 is definitely way too low.
22?
Gonna go middle and say 33.
Probably 33.
I think 44.
33.
22.
Absolutely correct. Very good. You got it right.
Yay! That's awesome. Okay.
Since her accession to the throne in 1952, Queen Elizabeth II has made 22 official visits to Canada, more than any other foreign country in the world. Her Majesty's first visit as Queen occurred in October of 1957. Throughout her reign as Queen of Canada, Elizabeth II has journeyed to every Canadian province and territory. Queen Elizabeth II has also visited well over 100 nations around the world, making her the most widely traveled British monarch in history.
With the cost of living accelerating faster than we've seen in decades and an inflation rate sitting at roughly 6.8%, the efforts to keep Canada's economy vibrant and strong right across the board has been hitting some snags as Canadians navigate through higher prices on practically everything. So we sent our cameras out to ask people what needs to be done to make sure this country fares well through tough economic times. Our question:
what is the best way to keep Canada's economy strong?
Best way to keep our economy strong? Pay workers fair wages so they can actually, like, you know, afford to go out to like a restaurant, enjoy a coffee now and again, you know, go to the movies. Because if I'm paying 3 times the rent that I'm paying now, I'm not going to be able to do that. You know.
We've got to be looking to the future for where the economy is going and what a new globalized world is going to be. And with changing trade agreements, it's kind of hard to predict some of that. But we also need to make sure that the essentials, food, shelter, are accessible, that people can afford those, and that people are generally engaged, that it's an inclusive economy so everyone can kind of make their way.
My boss treats me really well, and I think that's largely the case with these small businesses, but you look around and how many went out of business because of the convoy in February or just this and that with the pandemic. There's only so many hits that a business can take, and I don't know. I think that's where I'm at. I think small businesses need some support.
Obviously, like, groceries are going up, gas is going up. That's very inconvenient for a lot of people. I don't know why they're going up. That's like, I don't know the answer to that, but obviously, like, for things to be more accessible, I guess, yeah, like food, obviously, shelter, like rent's going up. Obviously, the housing market kind of sucks. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but yeah, I guess trying to make things more accessible for people.
I mean, I think investments in climate change is a way to do it. I think, you know, focusing on technologies that can be developed in Canada would be a good idea. One thing that comes to mind, a lot of school buses now are made electric in Quebec, I think, somewhere in Canada. But I think also there should be a focus on either higher or more targeted taxes on certain businesses. Places like grocery stores have been raking in profits over the pandemic. Inflation is sky high and people are, you know, struggling to make ends meet.
Prices are going very, very high, and the minute, like, for example, like, I'm still getting paid the same salary that I was getting paid before, and everything is going crazy expensive. So what should I do about it? I don't know. Like, I know a lot of people that I actually like meet or know that are saying the same thing. Like, people are struggling with necessities, with basic stuff. For example, like rent, groceries, like everything is getting super high, but same salaries and same taxes. Like, you pay same taxes.
I think just working together in a sense, like we all kind of, like everyone kind of has to speak what they're thinking, especially companies, and with how the economics have been with COVID and how everything is kind of flattened down, and then the inflation, it's been kind of hard to bounce back from it. We all seem to be doing okay as of now since we've had a little bit of time to kind of bounce back, but it's been difficult, especially in the very beginning. So I think just communicating with each other would probably do us some good.
Well, for me, support local. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're on that position as well too, that we kind of like support more locals than our friendly neighbor, America, US. But yeah, definitely, we are trying to be on that position wherein we will definitely support our own products than everyone. Like, so Canadian stuff, like, yeah.
Educate, give more opportunities, take down a lot of the red tape.
I think we really have to look at how we're living and how we're looking after our poor. You know, we have way too big of a spread. Kelowna is an example of mega everything, including a car like that, and all those kinds of things. But we have to almost regress to 50 some years ago in a sense of where we looked. We were very frugal. Our products have to last longer. We have to make many, many changes.
If we don't have to outsource our energy to other countries and we're able to be more self-reliant, obviously that's going to put us in a better situation, because then not only, I'm guessing other countries, if we're really relying on them for energy, then they could tax us on some of that energy too, and then we're losing money in that whole conversion. So being able to be more self-reliant as a country would probably fix our economic situation.
We have to get away from just relying on our resources. I mean, when I was in school, I remember studying that we're still a resource-based country, and we need to start doing more manufacturing with our resources. I mean, we should not be exporting logs. Working at the border and seeing the raw logs go south was always really annoying. Those logs should be processed in Canada, where if at all possible.
I'm not sure we can lay everything on the government to fix those problems. But as it relates to government, I think, yeah, try to create a fair environment, not skewed to one area or other, like supporting fossil fuels solely. I don't think we need to see continued tax dollars going to that. But I do understand that we still are a resource economy. So, yeah, that's a hard one. Sorry.
Although the World Health Organization has indicated it will not develop into another pandemic, cases of monkeypox have been appearing in nations around the world, including here in Canada. The virus is similar to smallpox, but less transmissible than COVID. So, after roughly 2 years of everyone having their guard up over COVID, does this have you feeling the same way or not so much? Our question.
How concerned are you about monkeypox cases occurring in Canada?
I'm not too concerned about it. I mean, we went to Florida about a month ago and everyone was jam-packed. And for that whole week, none of the family got COVID. So not too concerned about monkeypox or COVID.
Oh, I'm very concerned. Why? Because everything that's going on with the COVID and now another, and now we're probably going to get a vaccine for that one. Of course I'm concerned.
I mean, I'm aware of it. How concerned am I? I'm concerned about the whole situation of the virus and how it's been managed. And so it's just part of my ongoing concern about why things are happening and how they're being managed. So
I'm moderately concerned now. If it starts to spread, then I certainly would have more concern.
I'm not very concerned about it. I've had enough of COVID. I haven't heard anything in the news that we should be alarmed about, and we're just going to deal with it like we dealt with COVID, and nobody's going backwards anymore. We just have to take our health care into our own hands. It's not the government's responsibility to deal with it, it's ours. And we know how to deal with COVID, masking. If you have autoimmune or any health issues, you don't go outside. I'm not worried about monkeypox.
What I'm hearing is that the normal pox medicine vaccination is catering to this. So I don't think that we are kind of really worried about it. Hopefully that the government and people in Toronto have learned from COVID and they are much more careful that things like that can come in the future and they're taking care of themselves, and government is much more prepared than it was at the time of COVID. So not really scared, but definitely a bit concerned that things are happening, and we all just should be taking care of each other.
Not personally. It appears to be quite limited, and it's not like COVID or something like that you're going to catch by. If somebody with monkeypox walked into the farmer's market today, I don't suppose anybody would ever notice. It's not something, as far as I understand it, it's not something that's spread by sort of aerosol droplets or anything like that. It requires very close proximity to a person, and so no, it's not something I'm worried about.
I need more information. As a healthcare provider, I need more information. So I'm curious to learn more about the virus and where it's come from and its potential and transmission. I think we're still in the midst of a pandemic, so hearing about a new virus that's emerging is always concerning, but where does it stand in transmissibility and all those sort of things that impact what the public health efforts should be from that. So I'm curious to learn more about it and see how the general public should or shouldn't be concerned about it, kind of thing.
No, I don't think so. I think because after COVID we're pretty prepared now, and I think that if it is a concern, I feel that the people, they'll warn us if we need to be ready for something, and I think that we're much more prepared for pandemics and epidemics and that sort of thing. So
I think as a new parent, you're terrified of anything that comes in as a potential new pandemic, but I don't think it's been keeping us up day to day personally.
I think I agree. I think that we're obviously always worrying about his concern, but I think if anything, we're more concerned about what's going on with climate change and the bigger impact on his future and having a world for him to live in
No, I don't. I think that now our health systems are equipped for something like this, so I think that we know how to tackle it and we're not going to go through like fatal government flaws that has happened before.
I guess it hasn't been so foremost on my mind. There are other pressing issues, I think, that have taken the place of monkeypox. I don't think on the heels of the COVID pandemic, it's never settling to hear that there's something else coming into Canada, but it's to be expected as well with all international travel and things such as that.
I mean, I'm not super concerned about it. It's something that we've known. It's a virus that's not novel. That there's a history that people know of. I was listening to a good podcast about it the other week, so yeah, no, not concerned at all.
Hopefully, it doesn't spread as fast as COVID does. We already have a vaccine, from what I've heard. That the smallpox vaccine is very effective against it. So I'm not as worried about COVID because we're not going to be waiting for the vaccine to be developed and approved and so on and so forth. So we do have a plan in process, and hopefully people have learned their lesson from COVID and, know to mask up, know to wash their hands.
I think the way we look at this should obviously be careful. We should learn from our mistakes, and also I think it's a bit strange kind of seeing people panic again when the COVID pandemic is clearly not over.
I am concerned, actually, because I don't want to go back to the same lockdowns. Life is getting slower. People are like locked in their houses. Like the activities are too slow. People struggle even more with their mental health.
Generally, I'm not that concerned. I mean, there's always viruses and disease. That's part of just living in an ecosystem. I think back to Zika and how much public nervousness there was around it. I don't want to dismiss anything. Of course, there was very real cases and a lot of real concern. But in the end, I think it was not necessarily proportionate to the impact on the broader Canadian public. And monkeypox, I think, is going to be relatively similar.
I don't know if it's just another thing that we want to be scared of because now COVID's kind of coming to an end. I really have no idea. I'm not really... Again, I haven't really heard anything about it, so I'm not really affected by it right now.
Thanks for watching this episode of Outburst on CPAC. If you have any comments about this show or any other show, you can find us on social media. You can also find us on our website at www.cpac.ca. I'm Glenn McGuinness, and on behalf of my colleagues at the Cable Public Affairs Channel, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.